So, a Japanese patent attorney, Kiyoshi Kirihara, has weighed in and stated that effectively Nintendo cannot win in this Palworld lawsuit. Sort of. Essentially, because the amount that Nintendo is asking for is so comparatively low. It's 10 million yen, which is roughly 70,000 USD. And Japanese law caps the amount that you can recover in attorney fees at 10% of the total original claim. The most Nintendo would be able to recover if they won this case is $7,000. And since both Nintendo and Pocket Pair are using very big name law firms to fight these cases or fight this case, they are no doubt paying way more than $7,000 to 1 million yen to over the course of this lawsuit. This lawsuit's been dragging on for like 9 months at this point. So even if Nintendo won, they will have been losing more money by fighting this case than they could possibly get from it, unless they try to go after the fact and claim a higher value, but then that requires them to do all this extra shit and claim that, oh yeah, no, we lied about the value in the first place and blah blah blah. But at least right now, as the lawsuit stands, Nintendo is losing more money than they could possibly hope to recoup. Because even if they got I got to imagine at this point, I don't know the exact prices, but I got to imagine at this point with the law firms that they're hiring, these very big name law firms, they're probably spending more than $70,000, more than 10 million yen, and then even if they recoup 10% of that, they're not likely to be getting their money back anytime soon. Now, the real fight here is not really about the money. It seems like Nintendo more so trying to set a precedent and shut down competition and probably scare further people from trying to compete with them. But according to some of the stuff I just read, both with this article of the Japanese attorney weighing in on this and more information that I found, it's really seeming like they're gonna have a hard time. Apparently, it's in Japan, it's a lot harder to get a hold of court records, but a different company, a different news outlet, Games Fray, managed to get a hold of a lot of the records to be able to figure out what's going on, and that's what a lot of this is being based off of. But according to the attorney and according to the records that were received, essentially Palworld is taking Pocket Pair is taking the three big defenses that they can with this. They are, one, asserting that the patents themselves are invalid. They are asserting that they have not infringed upon the patents anyways, and they are asserting that, and then they are taking the action to change the things that the patents are concerned about so they can continue developing the game, which is what I said in a previous video, that the reason I think that they're changing these things, these mechanics, isn't because they think they're infringing upon the patents or they think they're going to lose, but rather just so that Nintendo can't take any action and say, hey, well, this is in deliberation, while we're discussing this, while we're trying to figure out who's right, who's wrong, stop them from developing this game, stop them from releasing this game, because if they do, they're going to continue to infringe upon the patents, and then the court might say, yeah, sure, and screw them over. So they made those changes, and according to this patent attorney, that even though, to the common eye, it might make them seem guilty, from, a legal defense standpoint, the exact words, and now I'm going to link the article, but it's an article in Japanese Yahoo where this patent attorney talks about it. So it's translated. So it might not be 100% the literal translation. If you speak Japanese, feel free to read the literal translation. If not, read the translate. But his words were, someone wrote a comment saying, if you think it's invalid, you don't need to change the specifications, but since this is a lawsuit, you will make all the claims you can. Plaintiffs usually don't attack with arguments like, you changed the specifications because you didn't think it was invalid, did you? So effectively what he's saying is that is not likely to hurt them in court. The fact that they changed the specifications or changed the game mechanics in order to be in line to make sure that even what Nintendo's claiming is no longer true isn't going to hurt them, because they can just go back and say, no, we changed it because we didn't want any more. We're litigating this and we didn't want you to try to put in a TRO or try to, get some injunction against us that stops us from being able to do this. So the fact that they did that is not hurting them. And it's kind of what, from according to this gentleman, it's kind of exactly what I thought it was merely a, listen, we don't want them taking action against us that stops us from developing the game. So we're going to play ball while we're litigating this. But my hope is that they come back once the lawsuit is over and they've hopefully won, that they come back with every single mechanic and like are really aggressive about talking about how, yeah, all these mechanics are back, just as a kind of FU to Nintendo about it. But and it's further cited, like, okay, Pal World Pocket Pair released video of gliding pals before Nintendo ever put in the patent that they are using to target Pal World. So there's a lot going on here that is basically it's seeming a lot in Pocket Pair's favor. And even cited here was a previous lawsuit that Nintendo took about patent infringement that I was not aware of, but seems like it's going to be very applicable in this case, especially if it set a precedent. I don't know how it is in Japan. I know in the United States, for something to technically set a precedent, you have to have appealed the case and then have it like upheld on appeal, because then that will set the precedent. If it's never appealed, it doesn't set a precedent. Don't know if that's the same in Japan. But there was a Nintendo versus Colopl, COLOPL lawsuit, where it was found that Nintendo's patent was too broad, too far-reaching, and therefore unenforceable. That seems to me to be the same thing that's going on in this case. According to this gentleman, like, it's a little bit more even between Pocket Pair and Nintendo right now. But at the very least, there is a precedent for Nintendo going after another company with another game developer with a very broad patent and losing. So hopefully that happens in this case. Let me find Yeah, for the just to give a little bit more reference, and if you guys want, if people are interested in me doing a video on this, I can go deep dive into this lawsuit and try to compare it to the current lawsuit that's going on, the Nintendo versus Colopl lawsuit. Just let me know in the comments. But the patents they claimed, that Nintendo claimed against Colopl, were a patent commonly known as the charge attack technology, so charging attack, the joystick technology on the touch panel, so having joysticks on the touch panel, technologies to display personalities hidden by obstacles by making the obstacles transparent. I don't know exactly. I'll have to read that patent specifically, and if you guys want me to do a video on it, I'll read it in a lot more depth. The so-called sleep mode technology that inserts a confirmation screen when the player resumes the game from power saving mode, so basically if your computer goes into sleep mode or like your console goes into sleep mode and you resume the game, it doesn't immediately start the game. It has like a little pause screen, which is kind of common in a lot of games. I know a lot of games I play on PlayStation do the same thing. And the follow system technology that allows cooperative play and message exchange with other users, which just seems like it's just based off of that title right there. And again, if I do the video, I'll read more into it. Seems like they patented the concept of having a friends list. Kind of insane. And communication system technology related to the fall system. With that lawsuit, what ended up happening was that Nintendo actually had to file what was effectively an update to their patent. It's called a correction trial, and what a correction trial is a patent holder effectively updating their patent after it's released, but is limited in what it's allowed to update it to. So they can't increase the scope. It's limited to reduction of the scope of the patent claim, correction of typographical or translation errors, explanation of unclear descriptions, and making a claim that cites the description of another claim, not cite the description of the other claim. So changing the citations, making descriptions unclear, which in this case a lot of them really are. Correction of typographical and translation errors. If there's a typo, you can change that. And predominantly when it comes to the actual scope of the patent, it is reducing the scope of the patent, not increasing it. In this case, what ended up happening was Colopl settled. They settled out of court for, I don't remember if it says the exact amount that they settled for, but they did end up settling with Nintendo. And Nintendo won, and they had to license the patents that were in infringement. The reason Nintendo went forward and corrected the patents was because the fact that the patents were considered so broad that they were unenforceable. So Nintendo had to backtrack and say, whoopsie daisies, we're going to make them less broad so they're enforceable now, and change them in a way that was enforceable but able to move forward with. I personally don't think they have a way to do that against Palworld that would stand, especially since some of the stuff that Palworld is citing right now in their defense is the fact that a lot of these patents have prior art. A lot of these patents have prior art prior to the filing of the patent itself. Long prior, like outside of the statutory limitations of when you can file those patents. For instance, a few of them cited here. These are a few of them that were pulled up that Pocket Pair has cited, where there's prior art. Rune Factory 5, Titanfall 2, Pikmin Deluxe have action release system. Or a monster release system, an action to perform a monster release. So the patent that is specifically targeting the cause to launch capture object or cause to launch object that releases character in the direction, those existed a long time ago. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Far Cry 5, Tomb Raider already showed that there can be different types of throwable objects because that is one of their patents. Pocket Souls, Octopath Traveler, Monster Super League, and Final Fantasy XIV had a indication, had a system where that it would indicate how likely you are to capture something on the field, to have a capture operation succeed, and it has the general the general like concept of throwing object, capturing monster has been around in Pokemon for 30 years, but they just recently put out these patents, which you cannot do. You have to do it within a certain time of releasing the thing, or of the thing being publicly available. They did not do that. So Pocket Pair has that against the patent JP7545191 related to capture objects. Pocket Pair also cited Ark Survival Evolved as the one of the prior arts that said, no, you can't patent a gliding monster because Ark Survival Evolved has had that since when did the Pterodactyl come out in Ark? It was released in June 2nd of 2015 on Steam, December 16th, 2015 on PlayStation and Xbox. So that has been around forever. They also cited ArcAge, and The Legend of Zelda. One of my favorite things about a lot of the defense that Palworld is using, that Pocket Pair is using to say that no, Nintendo, you can't patent these things, is a lot of them are things put out by Nintendo that they never chose to patent the thing before when they originally released the game, but once Palworld started releasing like development builds and you know trailers and shit, then they started putting all these patents. So apparently there's another one, according to this article, there's another defense that Pocket Pair is kind of able to use here, and it's very basically it's being referred to as the free technology defense. But it's basically saying the thing that you are accusing me of doing that is violating your patent is something that the patent office wouldn't have granted us a patent for. Effectively saying the thing that we are doing is not so unique that it is patentable. Therefore, your claim of patent infringement is not valid because if this was the thing that you were worried about, if this was the thing that you were patenting, you never would have gotten a patent for it. And they're also arguing that they didn't infringe in different game genres and that they are effectively not infringing on this because it's not the same. But no, I just wanted to go over that because I saw the article pop up talking about how a Japanese attorney basically said Nintendo cannot win; they wouldn't be able to recoup their costs. This is stupid lawsuit. But I saw that article come up, and I saw it mention the comments of my most recent video, and I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit. I might end up doing a full video breaking down, like, all of the defenses that Pocket Pair is supposedly offering against the different claims that Nintendo is making. We'll see if people are interested. I don't know if there's enough there for me to really to make a video out of it. If you want me to, I will. Just leave it in the comments if that's something you're interested in. Either way, I'm going to be linking the article that has all the information anyways. But yeah, if you're interested, I have a change.org petition going on for stop the abuse and misuse of patent law by video game developers. It is effectively exactly what it says, trying to get legislation change that would stop video game developers from being able to patent video game mechanics. And leave me a like and a subscribe, and check out the playlist with all my other Nintendo videos over there somewhere or down there. I don't know where I'm going to put it. Anyways, bye.